Well, I'll just go back to, I'd say my high school coach always used to say it's a lot harder to stay on top than it is to get to the top. I think there's a lot of truth to that.
Bill, when the season started, your defensive front, the interior especially, probably the least experienced group on the roster. If you go back into the TCU and look at where they are now, how can you gauge or can you quantify how much better they are?
Yeah, well, if you go back even a little further than that, go back to the spring when, we only had, whatever it was, 3 players that had played the previous year, and then players that we added in the spring, and then some players that we've added for the fall. It's it's a completely new group, really. And people like Leroy, but he didn't play last year, so he didn't play in the spring. So, seeing those guys, CJ, Melcart, Fleazy, and, Smith Filbert, and Vicky, I mean, it's all, Ty Thompson was here. He's not really a defensive lineman. He's more of an outside linebacker. But, yeah, so that group it's a new group. They've done a great job coming together, working together, playing fundamentally well together, and improving. Our strength's improved, our speed and explosion has improved, our block recognition, transition, pass rush, all that's, those guys work hard, and you can see their hard work on the practice field pay off in games. So really proud of that group and the way that they've, just come together as almost a completely new team, or new unit, I should say.
You just hit on it a little bit, but since TCU, you guys have not been gassed. I think UCF had a 25-yard run, only a couple runs longer than 14 yards, and not many 10-plus runs. What do you attribute that?
Well, again, when teams run the ball, it's team defense. I mean, one guy can't stop a running play. You need people on the outside, people on the inside. You have to tackle well. A couple of the long runs that you referred to, particularly in the UCF game, were breakdowns on the perimeter of the defense. Anytime a runner gets outside with no run support, you're going to give up yards. So it starts with a good run force and making sure that we don't give up those easy yards. And then inside, we have to defeat blocks and tackle, runners. And certainly last week, we saw a good back. We saw a good back at Cal. We saw, we've seen a lot of good backs this year. And so that's part of the challenge too. It's not just being in position to make the play, but actually, getting these guys on the ground. And this week the challenge will be, in addition, the quarterback. He's really a good runner, similar to kind of what we saw from UCF. Those guys are really good with the ball in their hands too. And so it's always hard to run a quarterback because it's an extra guy. They have an extra blocker that when the quarterback hands the ball off, you don't have. So it makes the run defense a little bit more challenging. But, yeah, they've done a great job. Coach Diaco's done a great job at the front. And, just, again, the overall coordination between the secondary run force, the defensive line, the linebacker run fits and all that. It's team defense. It's, one guy can't stop a running game. I don't care who it is. Like you need more than that. You need to be coordinated on defense. So it's team defense.
Just right to the next one.
Hey, Bill, a lot of players told us that second open date really sort of galvanized everyone. Everyone really came together over that second open date. For Gio specifically, has there been any advice? What advice have you given him as a quarterback to sort of block stuff out and just remain focused? Because over the last couple of weeks, he really looked more relaxed.
Right. Look, I don't know what the narrative is out there, but I would just tell you that progress comes in small increments. You don't go from base camp to the top of the mountain, in 15 minutes. Like, it just doesn't happen that way. You, day by day, improve, correct, improve, do it again, gain confidence, gain consistency, gain a higher level of execution in your fundamentals, your communication, and so forth. And that's a process that just happens every single day if it's done right. It happens in the meeting rooms, it happens in film study, it happens in walkthroughs, it happens on the practice field, it happens in individual drills before you even get to putting the whole team together. And if you keep doing those things and keep improving in those areas, then gradually you'll see improved performance. And And so, yeah, was there progress in the bye week? Yeah, I think there absolutely was. But there's progress every day if you prepare, work hard, and understand what you need to do to get better. And so that's what this team has done on a consistent basis, and that's what we need to continue to do. Whether it's the coaching staff, individual coaches, players, the different units on the team. Like, we just got to keep, working to improve the product that we put out there collectively, not just players on the field, but coaches as well. So I have a hard time, like, all of a sudden, this switch flipped and we went from here to there. I just don't see it that way. I see it as a very gradual but consistent improvement, and that's what we need to continue to do. There's no magic wand. There's no like shake we can fix up there in the nutrition that Amber can make that like all of a sudden everything's gonna be great. Like, that's just not gonna happen. We need to do it day after day, week after week, and string those together, and that's when the results become more permanent.
A lot of players told us that like when you told them that you were here to stay and weren't going anywhere, that was sort of the start to everybody really coming. Did you see almost a different team from before that to when you told them that, and see like almost something in their eye of like, okay, now we have the confirmation, I guess, in a sense from you, and now we're going to go out there and really continue doing what we've been doing?
Well, it's never been anything but that, and wherever that story came from, obviously, it's already been taken down and everything else. I mean, it's just total, as Trump would say, fake news. I mean, it's just, I don't know, it's just a novel. There's plenty of that out there too, by the way, but I'm not going to deal with that. Look, our consistency has been here since the day that, Mike Lombardi and I came in and started hiring people and come into the organization in December. We got here the same day, and we've been doing it every day, and, and that's the way it's going to be. So, I'm sure there's a lot of other people out there that want to get, clicks and views and, posts on my face or whatever. But like, it's just a bunch of garbage.
In an effort to get to everybody, we can hold to one question. I'll get back to you if I can, but go ahead.
Yeah, Coach, the defensive line has recorded 8 sacks over the last 2 games. How important is this for this unit to kind of build on that performance last week, heading into a critical stretch of the season?
Yeah, again, it's a new challenge every week. So whatever we did last week, we got to try to build off it. Syracuse doesn't get sacked much. Again, the quarterback's very athletic. When he sees space, he can run, and they get the ball out, quickly. They have good, a lot of RPOs, so those balls come out fast as part of the running game. And it's a different style of offense than what Virginia ran. So the game, I don't think, is going to play the same way. So I don't know how many times we're going to sack them or not sack them. I mean, but it's not that kind of a game. And really, ultimately, for us defensively, it's to keep the points off the board, to keep them from controlling field position and gaining and improving field position. And to play 60 minutes of good defensive football, whatever that entails. If it's sacks, it's sacks, and it might not necessarily be that. That's not the measuring stick. The measuring stick is number 1, points, and then number 2, yards and field position. Obviously, turnovers.
Michael Farley.
Bill, the way the last 2 games have ended, decided by less than a yard both times, do you worry at all about how the guys are doing mentally? Do you worry at all about that going into this week?
Doing mentally, what are you talking about?
Just like where they feel like, well, we're just, it just faded not to win at this point. Do you worry about that?
No, we control it. It's hard. I mean, we're the ones that control it, so we just have to do a better job of controlling it. That's all. If you're sloppy and you make mistakes against good teams, they take advantage of it. If you don't, then you're a lot better off.
Far left here, Coach. Front row.
Bill, I hear what you're saying in terms of the defensive front, with it being team defense and all connected, and those guys all play off each other. I was wondering if you could point to any, I don't know, have there been any schematic adjustments in recent weeks that may have unlocked, better play from the defensive front? Because, it looked like winning football defensively at against UVA, guys were great defensively. I mean, anything you can point to there where maybe there's a better understanding where you're doing something different schematically?
Right. Again, I hate to sound like a broken record on this, but if you play teams like Clemson that run a lot of counter plays and run a lot of perimeter plays, is different than playing a team that runs a lot of inside zone. It's just different. So the scheme and the fundamentals, and I'd say that the awareness and techniques that you would use against one team are different than the next team. And so is there some carryover in terms of defeating blockers in front of you and double teams and reach blocks and back blocks and things? Yeah, sure, there's some fundamentals, but as far as team defense, it really is about defeating team offense. You just can't, I just don't believe you can do the same thing against Clemson that you would do against Syracuse, that you would do against TCU, that you do against Richmond. I mean, they're all different. So I think you got to play them differently. And so that's what we try to do. And the players done a good job in, I would say, as we've gone through week to week, to understanding that exactly that like this isn't last week, and how we played it last week is going to be a little bit different this week, and we need to make that transition and adjustment, and then that also comes from practice, right? And so our players on the practice field doing things the way that our opponents do it, so that we can get a realistic look in practice, and it doesn't come to the game. And this is really the first time we've seen it, because it wasn't a good look in practice. And so again, it's all part of the process of every person's role in the team is important, whether they're a starter or a player who works to help his teammates get better while they're developing, whether it's in the kicking game or offense, defense. Like, as each player improves in his position and his role, it strengthens the team, and it helps improve the guy on the other side of the ball. And that competition, forces us to execute and perform better. So that's what we're trying to do, and in every phase of the game.
Second row left, Brian. Brian Murphy, WRL. You mentioned Michael Lombardi. He was the first guy you brought with you. Why did you want him to be here? How have you seen him sort of adapt to this role, first time in this position? And what do you see moving forward in terms of that position, and what general manager needs in college football?
Yeah, right, Brian. We already talked about that a lot. I mean, you certainly need somebody else with the way the college game is now, with the recruiting and NIL money and everything else that's going on. Like, there's no way I could do it. Maybe there's other coaches who could do it. There's no way I could do it. So, he's done a great job of all that. I'd say let's keep the conversation on Syracuse, because that's really where we are right here. And, what he's doing to help our program is monumental. But honestly, I'm just trying to focus on the Syracuse game right now.
Front row here on the left.
Yeah, the other day after the game, you were saying turnovers were their number one problem. Obviously, it was 3 of the day, and it's called 2 against Cal. I guess on the spot, in games, I guess kind of what are some of the ways in which you guys as a staff kind of go about, addressing that, even in practice, seeing how they've kind of followed up the last couple of games, how do you go about, tightening up the ball security, and making sure, I guess, the decisions, in-game decisions, whether it be a quarterback or a running back or whatever, it's kind of fair to protect the ball.
Yeah, well, again, it starts understanding, how to do the right things, how to protect it, how to handle the ball properly, and then using drills, because sometimes it's hard to simulate those situations in practice. They just come up kind of randomly based on where the runner is, how he's got the ball, where the tackler is, and so forth. So you set up individual drills that simulate more common situations, and keep repeating those, so that the players who handle the ball have a consciousness of ball security and protection. And we just have to do a better job of it. Like, I think if you talk to our players, I'd like to think that they would tell you that we have gone over everything and that they know how to do it. Sometimes, when you're thinking about, gaining yards or scoring or whatever, sometimes the focus is not on ball security maybe as much as that should be. And the same thing defensively. You know, you're trying to make a tackle, but when there's an opportunity to get the ball out, sometimes you can do both. You can make the tackle and get the ball out. You know, Ty Thompson's done a great job of that the last 2 weeks. You know, he had two plays that were, you know, where he tackled the quarterback, but on both of those plays, he combined tackling with the quarterback with a very aggressive strip on the quarterback's throwing arm to get the ball out. And so that's kind of the idea. And it's the same thing on the flip side of it is, yeah, we're trying to gain yards, but we're also trying to gain yards with, you know, excellent ball security and not ever giving the defense not only a chance to get it out, but not even showing them that, you know, hey, here's an opportunity. Because the runners that don't take care of the ball when they're in space just kind of send a signal to the defenders that, oh, it's loose. You know, I wasn't even thinking about stripping it, but now I see the ball. When I get closer to them, now that kind of triggers that get it out response. So it's ball security 24/7. It's all the time. And it doesn't matter who has the ball. The center, quarterback, a running back, a receiver, punt returner, kickoff returner, a defender who intercepts or recovers a fumble and advances it, anybody who touches the ball. And so it wasn't just the fumbles. It was, you know, opportunities to recover fumbles. It was a muff punt. We had other ball security things that, you know, some hurt us, some didn't. But in the end, like, you want that ball security on our side of it to be zero. We're 100% taking care of the ball, and we took advantage of every opportunity we could to take it away. And so in practice, you balance that with trying to take the ball away, but not at the expense of injuries and being reckless on defense. So do we punch at the ball? Do we grab at the ball in practice? You know, absolutely. And those points are reemphasized. Like, that's a great job. That's what you want to do. But at the same time, we don't want to do it in a way that is detrimental to the health and safety of our football team. So there's a little bit of a balance there, that knowing how to practice and how to practice effectively is, I would say, another thing that we've improved on over the course of the year, and therefore our practice quality is higher. Not that you guys can see that, I'm not saying that, but the practice quality is just at a higher level than what it was earlier.
Two more here, Shelby, and we'll finish up with our front right.
Talked about Gio specifically, and obviously the improvement you've seen from him, the defense, but just for the offense as a whole, what are you seeing as any signs of improvement maybe over the last 2 games, and what is the next step that you think the offense has to take forward?
Well, our biggest goal offensively is we've got to score more points. And that's why they put a scoreboard up there. You know, we just got to score more points. You know, we've moved the ball, but you know, getting points for moving the ball. It's got to cross the end zone, or you got to kick it between the uprights, and we've missed on too many of those opportunities, scoring opportunities in the red area, and you know, I mean, so we're missing on too many opportunities, and they're team opportunities, not just one guy. But we've got to do a better job collectively of, you know, finishing our drives, finishing our plays, and having the result that what we feel like should be the result at the end of the play, but it hasn't always been that way. So.
Really quick on that, I mean, you brought up again finishing the drives, the red zone turnovers, I think you guys have 5 tied for most in FBS. Just what stands out maybe about some of the red zone efficiencies that you guys have been able to kind of look at and build on?
Yeah, well, I mean, the plays that happen are the ones that happen, but believe me, there's other examples in games where, in practices rather, that need to be corrected and as well as improved on. So we obviously got to do a better job of that. I mean, it's just, you know, start with the coaching and decision making and, you know, player execution on the field. But, you know, we got to do a better job of coaching it, and we got to do a better job of executing it.
Last one, right front row.
Hey Coach, Jeremiah Sancho, Charles on this side. What have you seen out of Madrid Tucker during practice that's led to getting playing time during this part of the season? And yeah, it was 8 receptions last time out against Virginia.
Yeah, well, like a lot of players who are new to the program and either got here, particularly in June, in that July area, that were a little bit behind other players in terms of knowledge, experience, playing experience at this level and so forth. But, you know, as we've practiced more and competed more, the gap has narrowed, and some of those players have showed that they are ready to compete on this level and have earned more playing time. And so, you know, at the receiver position, you know, Madrid's done that, Schnard's done it, you know, Nate's done it. So, you know, Juju did it as a running back. So we have guys who are playing more than they did earlier in the year because they have shown that they're, I think, in our opinion, they've shown in competitive situations that they're ready for those opportunities. And then how they do with them what they do with them when they get them, that's, again, obviously up to them. But in some cases, those guys have shown that they can do it competitively in games after they've earned the opportunity to do it, and then they'll get more opportunity. And there's been other cases where we thought players are ready, and and they weren't as ready as maybe they need to be. So they have to go back and they have some more work to do before they're really ready to play and take on a bigger role. So, we'll see how it goes. And sometimes it's, one good performance and then one not so good one. Sometimes one not so good one and then one good one. And so, time will tell on that, but we just do the best we can to give the players who earn the opportunity. We do our best to give them that, and then it's up to them to, perform with that chance.
Thank you.
Okay, yep, thank you.
We appreciate it, thanks. Okay.
Thank you.
It's not my favorite movie of the day. I'm glad I have it. I would feel bad if we didn't have it. Just Jen. Just Jen.
Good. Good, how are you?
Good to see you.
Good to see you. Good.
Thank you for the help.
I know.
Well,
Busy
well.
man.
Where have you been?
What do you mean?
You haven't been in here.
I know, I've been working on the field.
Give us a loving well.
All right, we're gonna start with Shelby.
Yeah, and Shelby Swanson with I remember you talking to us after the UCF loss, and you talked about just, the need for us to stay together. We kind of break apart and just stay together. I know that Gio said that bye week, as crazy as it was actually good for y'all. We felt like the team really came together. I don't know if we had the chance to talk to you about that, but from your perspective, how does the team really come together since that Clemson loss? And what does that actually look like?
Yeah, I think we've had a lot of adversity throughout the year, whether that's on the field or maybe some stuff off the field. I think it's only brought us closer together. The team has solely been focused on whatever we need to do to win, and so that's performing in practice and preparing off the field for the games on Saturdays or Fridays this week. And so we're really not listening to any of the noise. If anything, it's like you said, it's bringing us closer together. And I think we've seen that on the field, especially from the defensive side of the ball, the past couple of weeks.
Well, how have you seen the defensive front grow? Go back to the TCU guys, give up some big runs. Haven't really given up many big runs since then. How have those guys grown as far as how they deal with blockers, gap discipline, all that kind of stuff, making things a little bit easier for the second half?
Yeah, I think that unit is playing as one right now. They're playing selfless. All those guys in the front are making plays, but they're making plays that are their plays to make, and they're not trying to, jump out of gaps and make tackles. They're really setting the edge. So I think setting the edge of the defense has been big. Guys like Melcart, Tyler Thompson, Smith, doing a great job. And then we have great interior defensive linemen, but they're playing as one unit right now. It's really making, my job as a DB and the linebackers' jobs a lot easier to fit the run.
We hear all the time, other programs, previous staffs here, your gap discipline, just general discipline, all the time that defensive front. Are you saying that that's kind of one of the keys? They become very disciplined up there?
100%. Yeah, the discipline up front has been very evident in the past couple of weeks, and it's an area that we want to continue to improve.
Hey, well, on Twitter, your mom posted a picture of you and your teammates locking shoulders during the two-point conversion. Just given everything that has happened, throughout the last month, what can you say about this team's resiliency and also their constant improvement? Because the last two games, those are games where everyone felt like you guys could have won.
Yeah, definitely. The past couple of weeks, 2 tough losses where you play well in areas and other areas you're just not making the plays you need to make at the end of the games. And so, if anything, I think it's encouraging for us seeing the improvement we're making week to week. That picture you just mentioned, just a sign of how close we are even through the struggles. The team is not pulling apart at all, and so if anything, we're getting closer. And so, looking forward to this week. I think it's going to be a great week, a short week too, but one that we've sort of dealt with, a couple of short weeks this year, and so I think we're prepared.
And how have the leaders in the locker room, including yourself, worked to maintain and also elevate the competitive edge throughout the season?
Yeah, I mean, just showing up day in, day out and for the practices and bringing that competitive edge. Most practices, it's offense versus defense going at it, and you don't want to lose that competitive edge when you get late in the season, bodies start to wear down. You still want to be able to, show up to practice, play physical, and that's what we do each and every day.
Right?
Well, I think it was after the punt return, Coach Belichick giving you a pretty hard time there on the sideline. As a captain, what are those dynamics like with him, and how are those captains' meetings up throughout the weeks with him?
Yeah, I mean, I think being able to take criticism whenever you make mistakes is really important, and just understanding that, you're not going to be perfect, listening to what any coach has to say to you, and then correcting it and moving forward and not taking anything personally is very important as a player. But again, being a captain and being a part of those captains' meetings is awesome each and every week. Being able to talk scheme with Coach Belichick, really, almost one-on-one, and give any ideas that we need to make or any changes we need to make throughout the week. So those captain meetings are really important, and I think they've done really good for the team.
How have those messages changed in the captains' meetings with how close y'all been to a breakthrough these last 2 weeks?
I think the message from Coach Belichick is just keeping the positivity and encouragement throughout the locker room and trying to get an idea of how guys feel. And so as a captain, I think we've got to continue to uplift people and be positive and just correct the negatives, but you can't just look at the negative. We're improving a lot, and I think it's going to start showing on the scoreboard this weekend.
Brian? Two quick ones. One, how did that scene on the sideline sort of come together? Was that sort of just spontaneous? You guys all locking arms like that?
Yeah, I mean, it was when we went for 2, so a moment that was sort of defining the game, and got a lot of gas in our teeth. Our team have a strong faith, and so I think it's some guys were praying, some guys were, even if you're not religious, you're probably praying in that sense. So we were just sort of bonded together and just watching and hoping for that moment. Obviously, it didn't turn out the way we wanted to, but another sign of just sort of our team sticking together.
And then we talked about Woodrick Tucker with Coach Belichick. You've seen guys on this roster sort of come from nowhere. Juju, I don't know, there may be a guy or two on defense as well. What is it about the way that the program is structured sixth on the depth chart. Madrid hadn't played a single game this year, has 8 catches. Is there something about the way practice is structured or the way guys kind of get a chance to show out?
Yeah, guys are always getting a chance in practice, whether they're first string or fourth on the depth chart. They're getting reps, whether that's in individual or in team settings. Guys are not just if they're not starting, they're not just not getting reps throughout the year. And so it's been really important and it's been impressive. A guy like Madrid to show up, really hadn't played all year and get 8 catches. I was very impressed with him, but you'd seen it in practice each and every week. And so it's been cool to see guys step up. We've got a lot of guys stepping up on defense. I think a guy like Greg Smith, a younger guy, he's starting to step up and be a crucial role on third down for us. And so when you start to build that depth, especially at this point in the season, it's really important to your success.
Is that slightly different than teams you've been on in the past? If a guy was 6th or 7th on the depth chart, probably wasn't getting a ton of opportunity.
Yeah, and I would just say Coach Belichick does a great job with everybody on the team, giving them chances in practice to continue to improve throughout the year.
Adam? Will, I was wondering what you've made of the 2 fumbles on the goal line, the one at Cal by Nate and then the one by Kobe. I know they're different circumstances, but it's kind of mind-blowing for them having back-to-back weeks like that. And just your thoughts on it, and do you think that those sort of speak to how close you all have been to getting over the hump and getting a victory?
Yeah, obviously pretty unfortunate events, especially back-to-back weeks. As a defensive guy, you got to be ready to go out in the field no matter what. And so, we had a chance against Cal to get a stop and get the ball back to our offense, and we weren't successful. Then again this week against Virginia, went back on the field and got a stop. And so, whenever we go on the field, it doesn't matter how we got there or where the ball is, we're ready to go and make a stop. But again, yeah, it speaks to how close we are. We talk about ball security every day, and we practice a ton of drills on it each and every week. And so I think the guys on the offensive side of the ball are taking pride in that moving forward and keeping the ball tucked. I mean, you even see Kobe Pacer had a chance sort of later in the game to maybe stretch out and score, and just very disciplined from him. And so that's even within the game, making that improvement and adjustment. It's pretty mature from him.
Is it kind of nuts, though? I mean, you played a lot of football in your life. I mean, have you ever seen back-to-back games like this where it's like happened?
I haven't been part of it. And honestly, when I was watching the replay of Kobe, didn't even think of that as an option. I was ready for a touchdown or first and goal from the 1 yard line. And so just sort of unfortunate. And that's an area that, our offense and anybody that has the ball, me as a punt returner, have to take pride in holding on the ball. Yes, sir.
Will, we were talking with Ship after the Virginia game. He said, wish we could go out there and play Syracuse tomorrow. That ability, that sort of mental ability to, bounce back just minutes after a pretty heartbreaking loss. Where do you think that sort of mental toughness comes from, and how can you develop that as an athlete?
Yeah, I mean, I think, if you're not competitive as an athlete, then you probably shouldn't be playing the sport, especially in a game like football. It's 11 guys on the field, 22 guys on the field, but it's really 11 one-on-one battles each and every play. So if you don't take pride in winning your one-on-one battle and being competitive in that scenario, then you won't have success. So a guy like Ship, man, even when he doesn't get the ball, he's trying to beat the DB one-on-one. And the guy like me, if they don't throw it to my man, I'm still trying to defend the guy. And so it's winning your one-on-one battle and taking pride in that. And eventually those add up, and the team with the most, I would say, individual wins usually wins a game.
Jeremiah?
Yeah, well, I know earlier you talked about the defensive line specifically and how their improvements kind of help the DBs and linebackers. But as a collective unit, last few weeks, if you look at points per game, for the yards given up, looks like a different unit now than it was kind of the first part of the season. What do you think in particular has kind of allowed you guys as a defensive group to not only statistically, but even just in execution, kind of make improvements on that side?
Yeah, I would say first and foremost, it's just discipline. It's focus and doing your job. The scheme we have, I really trust Coach Steve Belichick's scheme and the positions he puts us in. I think everyone on the team does too. And then secondly, it's trusting your teammates and trusting that they're going to do their job, and then they can trust you that you're going to do your job and not try to make plays that aren't your plays to make. And so I've seen that sort of area, those two areas of our defense grow the past 2 weeks, and it's shown on the field.
When it comes to the secondary in particular, obviously last couple games you guys had that. I guess from a points per game's perspective, hasn't necessarily made a huge, impact or whatever. What do you think is kind of allowing you guys to kind of fill in the gaps there, even despite being out there?
Yeah, I think it's a credit to guys staying ready to go. Jaden Patterson is a player that predominantly played safety for us and was a safety on our team, and sort of got some reps at corner early this year. And then when Thad got hurt, he's stepped into that role and done a fantastic job as a young player. But still, credit to Thad, even though he's not on the field, he's being a huge leader off the field. That's during the week. That's in games. He's leading those guys, and so Thad's doing as much as he can to get back on the field right now, but he's also doing a lot to help those young guys play.
And last one for Sheldon.
Yeah, just really quick, and sorry, I hate to end on this one, but I was curious, just with I think it was, I forget what point, but the Marcus Allen's tackle, with, I think it was Trellor Harris, and then he's able to go into that zone. Just what do you see from your perspective on that play and maybe what broke down there?
Yeah, I think, that possession specifically, they were doing a lot of no huddle, which is an area that we practiced a lot last week. Virginia was a great no huddle team, and Syracuse will do the same. And so anytime a team goes no huddle, you're going to get your fundamentals are going to break down a little if you're fatigued. And so I think that was an area, Marcus was in great position and just, he must have been just tired, and it didn't finish the play. But we need more guys running the ball, especially when there's a no huddle situation like that. But again, that's an area we continue to work on each and every week.
There seemed like there was confusion before the snap on that play. The defense was kind of running around pointing. Was there some confusion before that snap?
Yeah, I don't know what everyone was doing. There may have been a sub that was trying to occur, but I think we need to do a better job moving forward in no huddle situations of just staying ready to go and locked on our mans.
Perfect. Good stuff.
Yeah, appreciate y'all.
Thank you, buddy.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
No, you're good.